Hi guys, welcome back again to Elevate Procurement Dialogues. I'm your host Lerato. Today's episode is very special and different. We have Themba Lengoasa, who is the procurement professional playing a pivotal role in Lesotho supply chain networks. I want us to chat about this today and just to welcome you in our podcast. Hello, Mr. Themba.
Hi Lerato.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right, how are you?
I'm good, welcome. And thank you so much for coming all the way from Lesotho to here.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, sure. I am so inspired by the work that you do for the procurement profession, I must say. And I did see it quite fitting for you to join us in this podcast. And remember, more than anything else, in this podcast, we talk about different topics that elevate the profession. You want to see things move. How was the drive?
No, it was just a smooth drive.
Okay.
Because we made it an early drive. So we were relaxed along the way. Yeah.
So did you get a glimpse of what these drivers go through when they are obviously...
Yes, I did.
You did, right?
Yeah.
So, sure. Thank you so much for joining us. It is such a pleasure. I have been wanting to talk to you for some time. And of course, I think our audience will say the same thing. Yeah. For those who don't know who you are, those that are hiding under the rocks, do you just want to introduce yourself, just share a little bit of your career journey and what led you to even start studying or even being in supply chain?
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for granting me this opportunity. And I'm highly grateful for this invite. My name is Themba Lengoasa. I come from Lesotho, like you have already said in the intro.
Yeah.
I have 15 years work experience in procurement and supply chain.
Yeah.
And in that 15 years, I've worked for a variety of organizations, like your Global Fund, ICAP, AB InBev.
Are they all in Lesotho?
Yeah, they are in Lesotho,
Yeah.
AB InBev, IFAT. I'm currently working for Ministry of Agriculture and a World Bank project named SADP2.
Wow, you carry a wealth of
And
experience.
in that 15 years also, it entails 10 years of being in the senior management and executive management.
Lovely.
So my academic background is logistics management.
Okay.
But I'm currently studying with the University of Stellenbosch. I decided to study something that is totally different from supply chain at the moment, just to deviate a bit, to test my capabilities. I'm studying a postgraduate diploma in future studies.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
You are overqualified.
No, no, not
Oh, what an inspiration. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Sure. What has been your experience like just working in the supply chain? What are the common themes you've seen play out since you started working in the field?
Yeah, since I've started working in the field, I've went through a lot. I don't even know where to start in the last 15 years. But we have seen Africa in general transitioning from transactional procurement to strategic procurement.
Yeah.
We have also observed organizations now realizing the value that procurement adds in an organization. Previously, it was seen just as a supporting department.
Yeah.
But right now, everybody knows that procurement plays a
function.
key role
and
in a strategy of every organization globally.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting part about, the transformation of the industry. We started so tactical, being told what to do, process, paper pusher, all the other interesting names that we've seen, being mentioned over time. And now it's starting to be appreciated.
We are key drivers.
Absolutely. And I think we are now seen as a profit center. When you can save costs that you can plug back into the profit of the organization, you start realizing that this actually is a profit center.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the Lesotho specifically. The supply chain network, the logistics network, managing suppliers, etc. Right? What is the biggest challenge Lesotho experiences in that aspect?
First of all, Lesotho is not immune to supply chain challenges, like any other country in the whole world.
Yeah, I like that point.
But specifically, the main challenge that procurement practitioners are facing in Lesotho is that our profession is at its very infant stage. What do I mean by that? A lot of organizations, you would find a procurement professional reporting to an HR practitioner who doesn't know nothing
that is
about the procurement field. You will find in other organizations where procurement practitioners are directly reporting to finance. I mean, when you go to university and study, these are two different fields. Therefore, there is still room to grow. Also, another hurdle that we face as Lesotho is that we are a landlocked country. So being a landlocked country means we are within South Africa. Another contributing factor to our challenges is that our manufacturing industry is also at its infant stage. So we face a huge challenge where suppliers are charging organizations exorbitant prices because now they buy from South Africa and then includes the profit margins, which are quite exorbitant.
So you then saying that suppliers don't have access to go and buy directly from the OEMs, or do they need to buy from South African suppliers and then they also inflate and obviously add their markup, then only start? So that already increases the cost of, the items.
An item that you would procure it, for instance, in South Africa for 20,000, in Lesotho you might find you procure it for 30,000 because now the suppliers procured from South Africa and then made a markup to supply the Lesotho market. We are also bound by our procurement regulations to spend a specific percentage on the local suppliers, especially on the specific threshold that requires that you procure locally to support the local business and make it sustainable. That's the sad part. This issue was even alluded to by the current Minister of Finance, Dr. Matlanyane, who also alluded to the same issue that the government is being charged exorbitant prices, but it's not only the government, but also other parastatals and other companies in Lesotho are experiencing the same thing because we don't have a very matured manufacturing industry. We rely solely on South Africa.
Sure.
Yeah. That's
and now,
the challenge.
with this major reliance in terms of South Africa port and all the other dynamics that you've mentioned today, what do you think would be a probable solution? At least as a step. It might not be solving the entire thing, but as a step, what do you think needs to be enabled to assist in that manner, to start moving and shifting the needle?
There's a lot that can be done, but the easiest way of going about it is educating our suppliers about the importance of not charging exorbitant prices in an effort to get rich quick, right?
Yeah.
So supplier education and collaborations with procurement is very important. Building sustainable relationships to influence suppliers to unlock value in every procurement that we do with them. That can ease this problem that we are facing. Also, if Lesotho suppliers can have strategic collaborations with their manufacturers and suppliers, can also unlock value in our supply chain. But last but not the least, we need to identify critical items which are commonly procured within the country and then create manufacturing. If it's stationary, for instance, we can have manufacturing industries which are related to stationary and only go to South Africa to buy raw materials and other parts of the world. Other countries where our suppliers normally procure from, you'll be surprised, they also procure from China. Yes.
I mean, there's a huge dependence.
Because now the world is becoming very small due to the interacting supply chains and the Internet of Things, AI, and a lot of these developments which are technologically related are making it very easy to source elsewhere, not solely on South Africa.
I can only imagine then, if I am a procurement professional working in the corporates in Lesotho, and I just wonder that, do we also play a role in transforming our supply chain with what you've just said? Or are we leaving this to management to start implementing?
For us to come across, to overcome the challenges that we are facing, that I've already mentioned, we have a long way to go, but there are also low-hanging fruits where we can educate our suppliers, strive long-lasting relationships with our suppliers. Now, if they are comfortable that maybe they have 3 years contract with you, they can ease the way they cost their products to ensure that they become affordable products.
Yeah.
And that issue also of charging exorbitant prices has a ripple effect because it affects the way organizations plan their budgets, right? Because if something costs 20,000 in South Africa and now last year you bought it with 40,000, that means this year when you budget, you are likely to include even inflationary costs or a percentage over what you're going to budget for this year, not knowing the actual cost is what? 20,000. So if you have a strategic relationship with suppliers, that's where we are able to unlock value and then realize the importance of not charging exorbitant prices.
So now, do these suppliers, in your opinion, do price fixing? Since it seems like most of them are overcharging and overpricing.
I wouldn't say that per se, because the other reason that contributes to that challenge of overpricing is the issue that a lot of organizations take forever to pay suppliers. They don't adhere to the payment terms. And then next time when that particular supplier deals with
they want to recover that money.
They know you delay to pay.
Yeah.
Then they include additional costs because some of them even borrow money to finance that particular procurement of products that you'll be buying. So what they do next time is, if you delay to pay them, they do what? They inflate the prices to cater for that extended period that he was not anticipating that he wouldn't be paid by then.
So now, in South Africa, there's BEE and Transformation Enterprise Development, right?
Yep.
To what extent is that type of initiative extended in Lesotho? Because now remember, if you're doing enterprise supply development, the intention is to not milk the suppliers to the bone and obviously pay them in 7 to 15 days or even 30 days. So are those type of things measures that Lesotho also does implement, or is it something that can be looked at?
Yeah, when South Africa coughs or South Africa sneezes, we catch cold.
Okay.
Right? So that phrase only means a lot of practices which are done in South Africa. As procurement practitioners in Lesotho, we also adopt them.
Yeah.
For instance, I studied my first degree in South Africa. Therefore, the concepts that I know which are procurement related are South African concepts. You talked about a very important factor, BEE, and we have adopted remember, we didn't go through the transformation that you guys, political transformation that you guys went through. We are one nation. We never had any differences. We are just one nation. So by so saying, we adopted BEE, but in a customized way of Lesotho by saying in our procurement policies, we have included the preferential margin to say during specific thresholds of procurement, we consider local suppliers, say we allocate 25%. It differs from one company to another to say we will give the local suppliers a specific preferential margin. Yes.
Is there no specific policy that says for small suppliers within this threshold, pay them within this type of period? Is it all standard 30 days, 60 days? What's normal standard payment terms?
No. There is no cutting across policy that talks about payments within organizations. But there's been a lot of noise about organizations paying suppliers late.
Yeah.
Therefore, which calls for the challenge that we alluded to earlier about exorbitant prices being charged. So a lot of organizations have self-advised themselves to pay suppliers within 14 days, within 30 days, yes, there are challenges here and there where you would find there are some lacking information in the package that needs to be paid maybe by accounts or finance. In that case, there will be some extended periods whilst the issues are being resolved.
Okay.
However, each and every organization in Lesotho does have its supplier payments policy. So where they would say for specific, especially in private sector, you would find they want to unlock value also from extended payment terms. Like in one company that I used to work.
Yeah, I know that.
I won't mention,
for their working capital.
I won't mention for their working capital. They would say any supplier that we spend, so say much. 1 million, yes, we would pay them after 120 days, yes, right? Yes. For specific suppliers that we spend, say 500,000, we would pay them after 60 days. For those that we spend less than 250,000, we will pay them in 15 days. But in other organizations like where I'm working, my major KPI again is early supplier payments. So when the invoice arrives at accounts payable, we ensure that if everything is accurate, we process it instantly.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, these challenges are massive, man. I'm just thinking, reflecting on what you're saying, and some of these things that we take for granted, especially for us who are in South Africa, and you know the trade that happens between countries. And now that you mentioned earlier on that you are landlocked to your, you know, just quoting what you said, what do you think contributes the most in terms of logistical challenges? Is it because maybe there's issues with innovation, the roads maybe not being great, you know, some challenges that contribute to these suppliers just overcharging or just pressing on more than they should, the margin?
I wouldn't dwell specifically on the question that you have asked, but I'll give you one typical example. Okay. Like we once, this year, crossing over to last year, spent 3 months without chicken due to bird flu, which was that emanated in South Africa. It had a very huge impact that made us realize that our reliance in South Africa, it's really, really on the extremes on daily basis. And that also to the local market can be unlocked as a business opportunity. Yes. If we keep on buying stationery from South Africa or computers from South Africa, our government and our development partners can influence the investors to come and invest in Lesotho so that we manufacture such items, not for local consumption only, also for export market. Yes. Organizations need to find out critical items that they spend most on and then try to come up with investors that can come into Lesotho and create manufacturing related specifically to that. Low-hanging fruit can be government departments now consolidating their needs and then identifying common items that they critically procure almost frequently, and then start there by saying, okay, we are going to invite, say, manufacturers from China, SA, India, anywhere to say, okay, come and partner with Lesotho and open a manufacturing industry in Lesotho specific to this item that we regularly use as the organization, and then value can be unlocked there.
But maybe it's because Lesotho is a small country.
Not in size that you see on the geographic map.
Geographically, it's such a small country. So one would think that, do we really need to invest so much? Maybe it's working better through what's happening now. Although there are obviously challenges that create a ripple effect in terms of the community and the economy at large, right? Sure. So what are the biggest KPIs that procurement professionals drive then in Lesotho?
It will differ from one organization to another based on its nature. On what KPIs should we chase as procurement professionals. We're talking spend analysis, where we analyze the cost against the budget. That is the biggest KPI in procurement, where you need to provide tangible evidence, that is, we have bankable savings that we have saved as procurement professionals against a specific budget of a specific financial year. And then other KPIs should be related to supplier development. How much have we spent locally compared to spending with international suppliers.
Okay.
Local versus international can be a very key KPI when measuring performance of the procurement professionals. Another one can be efficiency, the order cycle time. How long do we take when a user department places an order until we deliver? That is our major KPI, because we are the one that interacts with the external world, which is the suppliers. And another KPI can be supplier development.
I think there's a huge room for growth there.
Yeah, that relates to, okay, this supplier, when we started working with them, they were generating this much profit from us. But by the end of 3 financial years or 2, this is how much we have spent on this supplier, and it has exponentially grown from this level to this level. That can be one of the KPIs. Other KPIs are related to sustainability. The list is long. I can't exhaust the entire list at the moment.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in terms of our topic for today, the KPIs related to professionals when they can enable these type of challenges. Apart from, what we know as savings, efficiencies, optimization, but to release pressure or to in fact create the efficiency within the supply chain network is what pressure do you put on the professionals to drive that down to suppliers? You said earlier on that there probably needs to be some socialization and education and training from supplier side, right, to understand. And maybe that should also be part of the KPIs that procurement needs to push. Because if you're not going to be able to measure anything, you can't see the impact.
Yeah, it's true what you're talking about or what you're referring to, because a lot of organizations don't really have that budget. They don't even budget for training suppliers on how to respond to the RFQs, training suppliers on how to cost items. There is literally zero training that is, or zero budget that is allocated to supplier development. And that is where the value is. If we can have such a budget where organizations in each and every financial year allocate a specific amount that says, this amount procurement, you need to use it to educate the external suppliers. Yes.
And I think then CPOs need to gather their heads together and think about these interesting initiatives. Now, in terms of female transformation, what does that look like for the Lesotho economy, business transformation and development?
We are trying to strike the balance in terms of gender equality, and we have seen a lot of professionals like you coming forth in the procurement industry and making it to the forefront. And we do have that diversity in Lesotho, where you would find in strategic positions, you find women. And a lot of women at the moment, like everybody else, have realized the importance of this profession, and a lot of them are embarking into this profession. Some are even transforming from economics, accounting, and then taking courses like your CEPS, etc., just to divert into the procurement industry.
So it's slowly
getting
there and growing. Okay. Well, I then want us to talk a little bit about your career journey.
Okay.
And just some career highlights that have obviously sparked, within your career journey. So what would you say were your most, these ones were my wins?
Okay. I don't even know where to start, because...
just the highlights. What you're most proud of.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm most proud of is when I was working for SADC Secretariat in Botswana, I was awarded an award where I was considered to be committed to what I was doing.
What is it that you were doing with the SADC?
No, for instance, the key highlight when I was working there was establishing relations with suppliers in Mozambique. Remember, they speak a different language. Language is such a barrier that side. They didn't know our organization. They didn't have any relations with us. They wanted payments in advance. It was just chaotic.
It's Portuguese, right?
Yeah, it's Portuguese-speaking country. And I managed to support the Samim mission. Samim mission is this, the mission that is combating anti-terrorism in Mozambique.
Okay.
I was the one supporting by that time. I think major highlight of my career when working there emanated from such, because I was leading in terms of establishing how we can come up with solutions which are related to those barriers which we were experiencing in Mozambique. They were so severe that we had to apply for a waiver of procurement regulations, because that side, it's so intense that it is, I would say, a war zone. Therefore, you really don't have time to source 3 quotations. If you have to source 3 quotations, you can have an emergency that requires supplier intervention, hospital services, etc. So on that level, I advised the management to waiver for a couple of, for a specific period while we are working on the solutions.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting. So what sparked an interest for you to even be part of that SADC involvement in that organization? You know, why I ask you is because a lot of times I think most professionals, particularly in procurement, you often hear there are no opportunities, you can't grow, my manager's there for long. Like, you know, career development, it's not, you know, that amplified, I would say, or heightened for some individuals, not for everybody, obviously. But for you, what drove you to start taking this type of opportunities and initiatives, especially being, you know, in Lesotho and all the other challenges we spoke about today?
Yeah, I would say you have to be a very ambitious person in life in general, not specifically in procurement industry. But for you to grow, you need to have that fire that is burning to learn every day, and then try to figure out what other organizations are doing, what other professionals are doing elsewhere. Be inquisitive. Yeah, that is a major driver that made me to be where I am today. And then having that interest of knowing various industries, like I mentioned in my background, that I've worked for a couple of organizations which vary in nature. Your private sector, public sector, NGOs. Now, SADC is a regional integration type of organization. I worked there for 4 years. So you need to really, really be someone who gets inspired by seeing other professionals achieving so much.
And
also
growing.
Benchmarking against the best in the industry. Then it's a major driver that can drive you to go places.
I love that.
And looking beyond the borders of the country where you are working at.
Well done. Well done for actually going that far, especially, you know, crossing borders for you. I mean, you've come to South Africa a couple of times, like you said, in Mozambique, and Lesotho. I'm sure Namibia have probably been, or Botswana, right?
Yeah.
So it is such a good point that you've made, because personal growth is obviously personal. You need to decide that this is what I want, and therefore this is what I'm going to go for. And that's what I also believe in. That's what is in the, you know, center of what I also strive to do at all times. If I can't grow, I would say upwards, then let me at least grow sideways.
Yeah.
And I think it is quite important for people or anyone who's employed for that matter to look at things in that manner. So part of our theme in this podcast is to obviously celebrate excellence. You know, our organizations don't always celebrate us.
Yeah.
So
that I do. Yeah.
Exactly. So what has been your moment of, you know, in your journey or in your career, like this one I'm proud of?
Okay. I won't mention the name.
Yeah.
Amongst one of the organizations I was working for.
Yeah.
Back in the days when I started my career, I was the procurement manager there, and I realized that procurement was playing a very transactional role. Under my wing, first of all, I had a responsibility to manage assets.
Okay.
So it was for the very first time that they had a very accurate asset register. I even affiliated through that organization. I affiliated with AMSA. It's Asset Management Forum of South Africa. And then I was spearheading the project of ensuring that we establish a new office. It is the university, the organization I'm referring to.
Oh, yeah.
So I was spearheading that department.
Yeah.
It's still existing even to date, years after I've left that place.
Wonderful.
They do have asset management function. Another one was where in the same environment, the procurement professionals, assistant procurement officers didn't have access to the storeroom, but they were controlling inventory, which was coming in, coming out. This is a very funny story because one of the fine Saturdays, I managed to lobby and convinced the management that we need to change locks.
Okay.
Right? So one of the Saturdays we came in with the maintenance guy, we changed the locks, and then we gave the assistant procurement officers the key. But before giving them the key, obviously, we counted inventory. It was for the very first time that that organization has had an accurate inventory status reports. And then we decided with the management, the lecturers are not allowed to control the inventory. Inventory will be controlled by the assistant procurement officers. And then the school could observe a lot of savings from that juncture. The stock levels were accurate. There was no pilferage or anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those were your two most proudest moments.
There's a lot, but I would limit it to that level. Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
So what I'm then gathering from your story is that while you are working, figure out what is it that you can improve in the process and take the lead, right?
Yes.
Don't be afraid to be the one that will say, I'll do this and I'm going to be the one who runs.
It's important, Lerato. The reason why a lot of organizations don't regard procurement as the value-adding organization. We go by the policy and we are not innovative. We don't come up with the solutions. We don't seem to come forth to the management to say, hey, look, this is how procurement, when you are given an opportunity to present during managerial meetings, you don't only present about the spend analysis, the policies, the irregularities. You also need to include in your presentation some level of innovation on how you intend to come up with the solutions which are repetitive in your organization.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier on as well that you were a manager for 10 years.
Yep.
Basically since leadership and management.
Yeah, in various organizations.
How has that been for you? Also from the time you started to just have the title manager, people and stuff. How has that been?
Yeah, you know, Lerato, the biggest challenge that we are faced in this world is that titles at times create people who are big-headed, only to find those titles when we call you a procurement manager. Now you need to lead multiple people, influence them, the ability to influence those people to take positive action, which is aligned to the goals of the company. So that is the biggest challenge of the manager. Throughout my experience, I have learned that the biggest challenge that we have as leaders or as the procurement managers is to influence those that you are leading to do better. Instead of complaining all the time, if someone is underperforming, you need to go to them and find out what are the challenges that this can pertain, challenges that emanate even from home. Find out the skills level of this person. How best can you capacitate this person to perform better with the resources that you have?
What are some of the commodities and I would say raw materials, that Lesotho is just proud of? In the whole supply chain, supplying South Africa, other countries, etc.
Or you just referring to us as the country that sells the best diamond in the world?
Yes,
we do have diamonds.
We wanted to celebrate.
Also, the reason why you guys are bathing every day, we We sell water to South Africa.
Really?
Yes.
No, we have major dams here. There's no way. You're probably taking our water from our major dams to
No. We do supply South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
With water.
And coal?
No, we don't have coal.
Okay, we have a lot of coal here.
Yeah.
Of course, mining and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Yeah. So just for us to wrap up on this point, do you want to mention anything else that is key that the government is driving at a strategic level to resolve some of these issues that we've just mentioned today? Is something being done, or is it something that needs to be now tabled with the government?
Okay. Yeah. Our government at the moment have developed procurement regulations, which were issued in 2022. This procurement regulations also entails developments in our profession, in a sense that they also include director level within the structures of the government, and hopefully other organizations will follow the suit, because you would find the challenge that I mentioned earlier. The procurement would have the highest level as the manager, but not having the director level. But we have already seen some of the organizations benchmarking the same policy by including directors in their structures.
Yeah.
And also, what would be the ideal development in our industry in Lesotho's concept would be organizations adopting ERP systems to unlock value in the supply chain, the likes of e-auctions, e-procurement, e-sourcing.
So that is still another room for growth.
Yes, there are some organizations which do have it, but it's another opportunity for growth.
Of course, also that works with the readiness of the country, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the supply chain network infrastructure itself, and then the suppliers themselves. I mean, one of the organizations I once worked for, we were implementing, these ERP systems in Africa, and it was such a great initiative, of course, to ensure that the P2P cycle works efficiently in innovation. But the major challenge that was experienced and overlooked was the readiness of the suppliers and the infrastructure of the country. Although the company was ready, but the supporting suppliers and third-party vendors, of course, were not ready, because some of them, they're probably somewhere in the rural areas. They don't have networks. There's no broadband capacity. The skills to even work with a computer and to look at a platform and think, how do I even,
Which reminds me of one challenge that we once had when I was working for the breweries, where we were transforming the entire procurement to say no more manual quotations. People need to bid online through the e-auctions. Then we were told that the used malt from the brewery, which is collected by the farmers, they need to also bid online to have a contract to collect that used malt. And it was such a challenge, because we are talking about people who have retired, farmers who have never been to school. So we had to, the company was very pushy about it. We had to tell those farmers to bring their children to our
offices,
training room.
Yeah.
We trained them so that they can bid on behalf of their parents. That's how we unlocked the value.
Did you employ those kids?
No. It was just...
That's an opportunity, though. That's another opportunity. And I think procurement, I would say supply chain professionals need to be challenged in this manner to say, or rather it is our challenge. When you are implementing this automation and AI systems that should enable the supply chain, but remember they are untransformed economies. That now becomes a burden, and also a point of opportunity to see how can you play the value into those communities. And this speaks to also ESD, right? And sustainability. One of our guests here did mention the measure of sustainability is through the impact you see with the economy and the communities. And if you then have that end-to-end view to say our goal is to implement initiatives that talk to efficiency, but then are we also touching on ESD and sustainability issues? Because now what do you do with these people? you need them, right? You need those kids to assist their fathers to create
to beat
online.
Yeah.
But what are you doing back for those kids? If you think about it, do you offer bursaries? Do you offer some form of trainings? Do you know what I mean? I think it's a good challenge for one to look into, and as divisional heads or companies to look into as solutions.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. I really appreciate it. I want us to just play a little bit of game. We call it the Procurement Volley Challenge.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
So you need to answer in 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
Not longer than that, ne?
Okay.
Okay. First question.
Don't ask too difficult questions.
You can't dictate the game. All right. The first question. What was your most pivotal moment when you saw the changes you've made in supply chain?
In my previous life, I was also a lecturer, an external consultant for one organization that offers SIPs. Seeing students graduate after writing external examinations from UK.
Wow.
That's a wow moment. Yes.
Well done. I also love that for you.
Yes.
Well, number 2. What is your biggest challenge on a day-to-day?
My biggest challenge on day-to-day is the user departments who totally don't understand the role of procurement by thinking procurement it's like shopping for your own personal goods. Okay. Who says no, but when I buy for my family, I just go and buy, and you come up with all these long processes. They don't want to adhere to procurement regulations. So the biggest challenge is to convince users to always adhere to the procurement regulations.
I like that one. That affects all of us, in fact, right? I like what you made, shopping.
Or someone telling you that, it's cheap. I know that thing. That thing can be 400.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it costs something like $50. Not knowing through the procurement processes, through the systems.
There's a lot more value.
Totally different methods when we engage with the external world to procure.
True. And I think that's just a universal challenge. And that's a big trigger for procurement professionals, in fact. Okay. I love your answer so far.
Okay.
The third one. What was your most embarrassing moment when you were negotiating a contract?
It was when we were developing, I'll come to the level of the contract, when we were developing a bid document and we conducted a brief, and then one supplier has made us aware that we did not mention the value of the financial statements that they need to submit. We just mentioned submit your financial statements. So he was like, okay, now if you are not mentioning the value, how are you going to compare A to B? Which financial statements would you say are the best, which meet your requirements? And we couldn't have answers by then. We had to go back as the team to review the same bid document.
That's crazy. Especially being corrected by a supplier from your own process and document.
And one other example that I recall was when we were procuring radio communications equipment back in SADC, where one supplier we thought he was expensive. When negotiating with him the prices of his contract, we tried negotiating, finding out whom his manufacturer was, and the manufacturer was like, no, go back to the same guy and negotiate. He's our sole supplier in that country. You can't do anything. We don't allow anyone.
So they had the license to buy from the OEM.
From the OEM. Yes.
Well done. I think you did well. Of course, some of them took longer than a minute, but I think you did. You did so well. So Themba, just in closing, I usually ask my guests this one important question.
Okay.
What is your motto? What drives you?
What drives me? There is no big mountain in the whole world. Every mountain can be climbed. That also means we need to come up with solutions to the challenges, not all the time now preach about the challenges without coming up with solutions.
I like that.
Yes.
And do you have a mentor? Do you believe in mentorship?
Yes, I do believe in mentorship, though I don't have one at the moment.
Yeah.
You would find me in groups that talks about procurement directors, though I'm not a director. Okay. Just to have a feel, I follow them on LinkedIn. I follow them on other professional platforms, just to have a feel on what exactly do they talk about, so that when I occupy the same position in the future, I would know exactly the exact language that is being talked about.
I like that.
The directors, yes.
In fact, this is like you saying I'm manifesting my directorship.
Yeah, you need to be hired in this profession.
Yeah.
In this profession, if you are not influenced by your fellow colleagues, the likes of you, the likes of other people who are promoting procurement, you will never reach your destiny or your major highlights of your career.
In fact, you've mentioned something really critical from a personal development and professional development is start mapping your journey. See where is it you want to see yourself, and how do you start now to prepare for that future, which is what you've just mentioned. Follow the people that you want to be, listen to their conversations, be in those rooms.
And above all, the only thing that adds value in this profession is continuous learning. Through your peer procurement practitioners, through formal learning, through attending symposium, through attending networking functions. That's how you grow, that's how you learn on how to come up with solutions and things that you might not be sleeping at night thinking there are challenges. If you talk to your fellow colleagues, if you talk to your peer practitioners, you'll find that they have an instant solution to your challenges.
True.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Any last words, just overall wrapping up our conversation today related to our topic that you just spoke about?
No, first of all, I would like to say I'm highly grateful for the work that you are doing for our professionals. Keep on doing what you're doing and thinking outside of the box. And I'm highly grateful to be invited to this podcast. It means a lot to me in my career and many other platforms.
Thanks.
Yes.
Sure. We wish you all the best in the future. I think, Jiggy, I know I'll see you as a board of director, executive, soon. Themba, before we leave, we have a gift for you. This is our general custom in this podcast. You know, I wrote a procurement planner, right? And this is to just say thank you for driving all the way. When you are sitting on your desk, you've got a planner to schedule your day, your appointments, and more than anything else, have some few nuggets that will just assist in your thinking day to day.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lerato. Thank you.
All right, guys, this wraps up our episode today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until we see each other again next time.